Welcome back, everyone, to another video session discussion about the new Alabama Notary Accountability Act of 2023, also known as Act number 2023-548, formerly known as Senate Bill 322. As you can tell, I like going through all of those numbers. My name is Michelle Riley, owner of Notaries for Alabama, Notary Instructor, and I've been spending the last few weeks studying, processing the new laws that go into effect September 1, 2023. If this is the first time you were joining us, make sure you make time to take a look at the 4, I believe it is, other videos. The first one is a live video introducing the subject, talking about how did we get to the place where Alabama's lawmakers felt it was necessary to institute this new law. And then the second one we went over was the new notary application fee and application process that we'll have to undergo when it's time to renew our commissions and when a brand new notary wants to be commissioned. We talked about how the bond amount is going to increase from a $25,000 bond to a $50,000 bond. We don't know yet if the price or the cost of that bond is going to change. It's very likely that it will increase, but we don't know that for sure. In the third video, we spent some time talking about the background check. Yes, September 1 forward, new and renewing notaries will have to undergo a background check. And we talked about the different areas that the background check will cover. And then the very last video that we did together was one on the mandatory training. And that's one that really interests me the most as someone who has been conducting notary training around the state for the last 10 years. So if you watch that and you pick up a little more enthusiasm and passion from me, that is why. But so we've covered a lot of territory. We're about halfway done. So again, if you didn't see those, I want you to go back and watch them, please. All right, so now I want to make sure that I am sharing my screen, and I believe that I am. I'm going to double check. Yes, I am. And now I am going to take us to our topic for this evening, which is going to be Notary Standards. That's the topic that the NNA, the National Notary Association, used to describe the segment. Now, there's more coming after this, but this should be a short video, this portion of it, and then it's going to get lengthy again. All right, so you know when a friend or family member says, I have something to tell you, but I need you to sit down first. I need you to sit down first. Yeah. Try not to read what's on the screen. Just go ahead and sit down first. Usually they're going to tell you some really good news because they're afraid you'll shout and faint, or it's going to be really bad news and they're afraid you're going to shout, scream, and faint. Well, it's good news. Under the section of Notary Standards beginning September 1, the fee, the state-approved notary fee that we can charge is going to be increased notaries can charge a reasonable fee not to exceed $10 for each notarial act. Now, notice, for those of you who have not gone through training, I didn't say per signature, I didn't say per page. I said per notarial act or per notarization. There is a difference. And the only way, in fact, let me pause here. Every notary who is commissioned should already know this and understand the difference. Because if you don't, there is a good possibility you have been charging your notary fees incorrectly. And this is a bone of contention for this new law. We'll touch on that in our next video. There is going to be consequences for overcharging someone. And so this is really important. I encourage you to get your notary handbooks out. It gets into it there. I also want to encourage you to consider enrolling in Notary Basics training for Alabama notaries, because we go over it there as well. But for this video, it is per notarial act, and a notarial act is an action that we notaries are designated to do according to the Code of Alabama. So the Code of Alabama says you can do these things. These are the notarial acts you are authorized to do as a Alabama commissioned notary. For each of those acts, instead of $5, which it is today, and we're in the month of July. So right now, for each notarial act, it is $5. And on September 1, 2023, it's going to be $10. Now, I know someone watching this is going to be, I hope she gives an example. Can she at least say a little more about calculating the fee? I will. I'll give this one example, and that is it. And then you need to read the handbook, read the code, enroll in training. If you have notarized the Alabama marriage certificate, that is the certificate that gets processed. The final processing takes place by the Alabama Department of Public Health. I applaud them. They did an awesome job when Alabama's marriage laws changed in coming up with the form, the frequently asked questions, the instruction sheet. And I know some of you have been notarizing that form and you haven't even taken advantage of it. You're missing out. But it is in that FAQ sheet where the Alabama Department of Public Health talks about how to calculate the fee for that particular form. And they gave the example. I was like, they're right on. For that form, if you are notarizing for both individuals, the bride and the groom, the bride and the bride, the groom and the groom, however they identify, it is if you do both parties, we're not going to factor in the minors, okay, because that's another example. But I'd say for 80 to 90% of the marriage certificates that I have notarized, it has just been for the couple. And that form, I am notarizing 2 signatures, and I am administering 2 oaths for a total of 4 notarial acts. And so the Alabama marriage certificate, the Alabama notary fee For the marriage certificate, both parties, $20. 5 times 4, I know you're like, why should she keep putting up 4 fingers? 4 notarial acts in July 2023, the fee is $5. 5 times 4 is 20. Okay. And so again, it's really important that you understand which acts we're allowed to perform as commissioned notaries, because then we will calculate an accurate fee and not be accused of overcharging. I'll talk about travel fee in just a moment. Before I do, I want to talk about this next bullet on the screen that says state, county, and municipal employees cannot charge a fee for a notarial act performed during and as part of his or her public service, unless otherwise provided by law. Now, I don't know if this is so much as a change and they're simply putting it in writing or not. I really don't know. I've heard from employees who work for the state or the county, they've told me that they don't charge a fee when they're at work. But be that as it may, it's in print now. So if you have been charging that $5 per notarial act fee while you were working as an employee, according to this, that needs to stop. Travel fee. The Alabama Notary Handbook does not address travel fees. This new law also does not address travel fees. What does that say to me? That says to me nothing has changed or nothing will change on September the 1st with regard to travel fee. And so there is one place that does address travel fee, and I'm going back to the FAQ sheet that accompanies the Alabama marriage certificate, because in that fee, in the section dealing with fees, it goes on to explain to the couple that the notary, in addition to the Alabama state approved fee, a notary can charge a reasonable travel fee. Okay, that is for us to get in our car and drive to meet you somewhere. All right, and so yours truly, Michelle Riley, who has no authority in the state of Alabama other than being a commissioned notary, I interpret that to mean I can continue and will continue charging Alabama residents a reasonable travel fee when I need to get in my vehicle and drive to meet the customer. Now, I don't have an office at this time. I closed it due to COVID, haven't reopened it yet. So I've been mobile. But when I had the office and the couple would come to the office, I did not charge anything other than the Alabama $5 per notarial act fee. Again, I'm going into this detail because when we meet next time, we will be talking about unlawful acts and penalties by notaries. Give me just a moment. I want to make sure my little cheat notes that I don't miss anything. All right, that's it for fees. If there's a question that you have about fees that I did not address, please type it below in the comments and I will respond. I know how important all of these changes are to all of us. And so I'm making a conscious effort to respond quickly. All right, moving on. The other standard that will be changing will be the notary certificate language. So we're talking about the notary block, the section of the form that we notaries complete. And the new law reads, when a notarization is required, the following types of documents must have the correct notarial certificate language, especially for, or primarily they're speaking about, recordable documents and court system documents. Now, while I'm reading this, I'm like, yeah, I forgot to look this up. I wanted to provide you with a list of samples. I don't have that right now, but what I can tell you is that vital statistic documents are recordable documents. The Alabama marriage certificate, a death certificate, a birth certificate, a divorce decree. Court system documents, they're probably referring to adoption papers, affidavits that get recorded, mortgage documents, title documents get recorded. And so this is saying those documents must have the correct language. Well, you and I know in the past, it wasn't our responsibility to make sure the notarial certificate was correct. Now, I say that we do and did have some responsibility. Let me give you an example. If a form that needed to be signed and notarized did not include the signer's name in the certificate section, I made sure I added it. Yeah, because there are some old style certificates floating around that say, I got to stop looking up to the ceiling, that say sworn to or affirmed this date. And that's it. That is not appropriate. You should not be notarizing using that certificate. It needs to be corrected. And so this is telling us Alabama is looking to us to ensure the correct certificate language is included on the form before we notarize the signature. Again, we don't have time for me to say more than that. Again, this is why we'll have mandatory training. And remember, I told you, I don't think, I shouldn't say that. I was about to say, I don't think the training is going to get into all those weeds, but it might. All right, the other bullet, oath, acknowledgement, and signature of all parties need to be on that certificate. And so if the document pertains to, excuse me, if 3 people are named in that document, their signatures need to be notarized. All of that needs to be in that certificate section, okay? Not to leave anybody out. Okay, making sure that everyone who is supposed to be named in the certificate is named in the certificate and is taking the oath or making an acknowledgement. And then, of course, our signature and seal. Now, I know I kind of glossed over this section. I know I have some questions, clarifying questions for this that I'll be asking my probate judge. I encourage you to do the same. Excuse me. Wow. Getting a little choked up or hoarse. Excuse me. The final thing that we'll cover under Notary Standards will be acknowledgments. And I'm going to take a really quick cough break. Thank you for your patience. So this is another gray area for me, one that I'm going to need further clarification, but I still want to talk about it in this segment. And it is referring to acknowledgments. Hopefully by now, every commission notary understands that there are 4 types of notarizations that we can perform in Alabama, acknowledgments being one of them. All right. And so this is saying acknowledgments must be executed in the state of Alabama and in the physical presence of the notary, and only after the notary has verified the signer's identity. When I read this the first time, I'm like, well, that's a no-brainer. It's always been that way. But apparently, a number of us have not been doing it that way. And so now I've said there's an area that's gray. So today, July 2023, when I notarize a signature, and the type of notarization is an acknowledgement, and the signer brings me a form that has already been signed, I look to see the type of notarization, and when I see it's an acknowledgement, I ask the signer, is this your signature? And if he says yes, I'll say, do you understand what you signed? Yes. Did anyone force you to sign? No. Then I proceed with the notarization. And that is how it works in most states, meaning the signature can take place before the signer meets with the notary, as long as the signer acknowledges or claims his signature when he appears before the notary. So what's changing? Well, in that first line, what's changing, I'm not sure if they're saying here that the signature needs to be made in front of the notary. I know it says executed, but my question from my probate judge is, I get it, I'm going to execute it, I'll do my part when the signer is in front of me, but can the signer sign it before he gets to me, as long as I acknowledge it? The safe way, the safe approach is to require everyone to sign it in front of you. That's the safest bet. Okay? And no more having folks sign and do things in Georgia and Mississippi and Florida and bringing it here for you to notarize. Okay, I'm not saying we can't notarize signatures on out-of-state documents. I'm not saying that. But y'all know who you are. There's some hanky-panky stanky going on. And this law is telling us we got to stop with all of that. Okay, but again, to wrap this up, acknowledgments must be executed in the state of Alabama and in the physical presence of the notary, and only after we have verified the signer's signature. Okay, not before, after. All right, we're gonna put a pin in it right now. because there is more to come. And before I do that again, if you haven't taken a look at NNA's, National Notary Association's analysis, you may want to do that. I keep copying a link, I believe, below in the description. Check it out. I found it helpful. And that completes Notary Standards. So what's next? The next part is unlawful acts and penalties. This is going to be really good. Not that the other parts haven't been good, but this was a lot of new stuff. Well, you'll see. You'll see. So please, I look forward to your comments, your questions. I want to encourage you to help get the word out. In less than 60 days, all of us will be subjected to the new standards, unlawful acts, and penalties. Listen to me. Someone like me, I don't renew my commission until 2024. But that doesn't mean I just keep doing what I'm doing. No, I've got to, on September 1st, be aware of and adhere to the new notary standards, unlawful acts, and be subjected to penalties if I don't adhere. So this is really important information. Share it. Encourage folks to go to trainalabama.com to download a complete copy of the law. If you would like to participate in a live free Zoom meeting with other Alabama notaries, where we go through it from start to finish and ask questions and agree and disagree, you can register on trainalabama.com for that. And then my last shameless plug is for our Facebook group called Notaries for Alabama Hangout, free Facebook group where you can network with Alabama notaries around the state. Appreciate your time. Look forward to seeing you back here again soon. Have a great rest of your day.